couple of weeks ago, my world crumbled. I found out my wife cheated on me 6 years ago. I learned this not from her, but from her sister. I had gone to visit her sister to check on her after the birth of her first child. It was then, in a moment of emotional vulnerability, that she confessed everything. She told me that 6 years ago, my wife admitted to her that she had a drunken one-night stand with her best friend. Her sister insisted my wife had been deeply remorseful, but the damage was done. That revelation planted a seed of doubt in me, and I couldn't shake the thought. The child I had raised and loved for 6 years might not be mine. Unable to ignore the possibility, I left her sister's house with my son and went straight to get a paternity test. For a week, I lived in anxious limbo, terrified of the results. And then my worst fears came true. He wasn't mine. Everything changed in that moment. My perspective on the child shifted painfully. I couldn't see him as my son anymore. Armed with the proof, I confronted my wife that night after the boy was asleep. Her first reaction wasn't remorse or explanation, but panic. She wanted to know who told me. I dismissed her question, knowing she'd figure out soon enough it was her sister. That wasn't my concern anymore. I told her I wanted a divorce. She broke down, swearing she'd been faithful since that one mistake and begging me to reconsider. But her words felt hollow, excuses wrapped in guilt. She blamed the alcohol, the circumstances, everything but herself. I kept my emotions in check, refusing to insult her, if only to avoid complications during the divorce proceedings. Then came the blow that shattered any remaining ties. She threatened to fight for full custody of the child. I was so furious I told her, fine, take the child. I wanted nothing to do with a child that wasn't mine. I said I'd keep the dogs, who've been with us for 8 years and were the only constants in my life. She tried to argue, pleading with me to co-parent, claiming I was still the boy's father in every way that mattered. But I'd reached my breaking point. I yelled at her to leave and take her bastard with her. It was the first time I'd ever raised my voice at her, and it shook her. She packed up and left that night, taking the child and retreating to her parents' house. She hasn't called since. The house, a gift from my parents, remains mine, but it feels empty. My dad told me I did the right thing, that I shouldn't raise a child who isn't my blood. Part of me agrees with him, but the pain is still overwhelming. My family is gone, and the life I thought I had was a lie. My sister-in-law later explained why she confessed. She said the guilt had been eating her alive, especially watching me so happy and unaware. She said my visit broke her resolve. I don't know if I believe her, but it doesn't matter. The damage is done. Now, I'm focusing on moving forward. I see a therapist 3 times a week who reminds me that I've already taken the hardest step, walking away from what was hurting me. The therapist advised me to cut ties completely, not to see the boy or my wife, and to focus on healing myself first. The child, as harsh as it sounds, is no longer my responsibility. The sooner I accept that, the better. The divorce is underway, and I'm bracing for any challenges. Fortunately, our finances and properties are separate. If she tries to pursue child support, I have the paternity results to protect me. For now, I'm trying to rebuild, though the grief and anger linger. I feel a profound sense of loss, of the family I thought I had, of the life I believed in. It's just time to move forward, one step at a time.